we're going to do now is grout it, but before we grout, we're going to put a sealer in place. Whenever you're using a natural stone, it's a very porous tile, and you do not want to get grout inside the pores of the stone without having a sealer on top, impregnated into the stone first, else it's going to be very difficult to clean up. So before we grout, we're going to put a sealer, and any sealer will work. Just make sure you got one that's rated for stone if you're using any type of travertine or marble or granite. So we got one for stone. Basically, you just wipe it onto the surface of the tile itself. You don't want to get it into the grout lines. Just onto the surface. You're going to leave it there 3 to 5 minutes. Wipe it dry within 5 minutes. You're going to let it sit about a half hour to an hour to dry. And then we're going to come back and put a second coat. I'm going to put 2 coats on the marble. If I have enough, I might even put 3. And then before I grout, I'm also just for added insurance, they make a product called Grout Release. And we're going to put that on. After we let it dry for a day, we'll put the Grout Release on, and then we'll start our grouting. And that way, hopefully, it'll be easier to clean up. I also have a product that is a grout remover and haze remover if we need it. We'll see how well these 2 items work and see if we need to do anything further. But again, you don't want to try to tackle a grouting of a stone without having a grout release agent on there first and your sealer in place. Okay, we're just going to put that sealer on. Doesn't take long, just wipe it on. Make sure everything's covered. I just have a very clean sponge that I'm using. And you're not trying to get it into the grout lines themselves, you just want to get it on the surface of the tile. Just wiping it off the tub. Shouldn't bother the tub anyway. So what we're going to do now, we'll let it sit for about another minute. We're going to take this white cloth and we're just going to wipe it off any excess. Again, we'll let it sit for about an hour after that, then we'll come back and put a second coat. It's pretty easy, pretty quick, but it's definitely a step that's required before you go to the point where you're grouting. All right, I'm going to start wiping it down. little bit more thicker than water, a little bit more viscous than water is. It's pretty easy to work with. Okay, and it's that fast, took less than about 10 minutes to do the whole shower. We'll let it dry and we'll come put another coat on top of it. We sealed it with 2 coats of the impregnator sealer, and that should help seal the stone itself. We're also using a product called Aqua Mix Grout Release, and this product is a thick viscous fluid, and you just wipe it on with a sponge. Just wipe it on with a sponge and you let it dry, and then you come back later and put another coat. Now it doesn't really fully dry. It leaves almost like an oily film on top of the surface of the tile, and I think that's on purpose so that it helps release any of the grout that gets onto the stone itself. So I'll put 2 coats of that on top of the marble also to try to help deal with the issue of cleaning up the excess grout. I also have, in case I need it, I have Aqua Mix Nano Scrub, and it's an abrasive cleaner. It's a non-acid cleaner because on any stone tile you do not want to use an acid. So this is a non-acid cleaner that can be used to help clean up any of the excess grout material also. Now we're going to do something different on grouting this today. Since these are large 12-inch by 24-inch tiles, when you look at most grouting instructions, they tell you to put the grout on the surface of the tile and to come at a 45-degree diagonal to your grout lines and push the material into the grout lines. Well, we'll probably do that somewhat inside the niche because the grout lines are all fairly close. But on these large tiles, I don't want to make all that excessive cleanup. So what I'm going to do is put it more in the grout lines themselves and work it into the grout lines without smashing the grout material across the whole face of the tile. Now to help do that, you can buy these. It's almost like a cake decorating, icing decorating deal for cakes. And we're going to put our grout inside of this bag, and we're going to squeeze it, and we're just going to put the material right where we need it, and then float it in with our grout and try to minimize the cleanup that we have. Now you have to have a lot of cleanup ready. I have 2 buckets of water here. We're probably going to change that water out 3 or 4 times before we complete the whole area around the tub here. That being said, we're ready. We're going to go ahead and mix up our grout, see what we can do. This video is showing the job that we just finished with the grouting. And we used the grout release chemical that we mentioned earlier in the video. And it made it extremely easy to get the grout off the tile. So I highly recommend, again, if you're going to do any type of grouting, use the grout release additive on the tiles. This was probably the easiest grouting job I've done in about 10 tile jobs. And again, what we did was we put 2 coats of sealer on the marble initially, and we followed with 2 coats of the grout release, and we came out with a very good job, perfect job, and again, one of the easiest cleanups that I've ever had. Okay, we've completed all the grouting of our grout lines in the project here. So now all we have left is to caulk the 2 corners. And you caulk the corners instead of grouting because eventually, if you grout it, they could have movement in the walls and it could cause cracking down the road. So we're going to use a flexible caulking. They make a caulking that actually matches the color of the grout that you're using. And I was using Custom Products 381 white. And you can see they make a 381 bright white caulking. So we're going to use that, and the caulking will match the grout itself. They also sell these tools. They're pretty cheap, like $5 or so. And it's used to help smooth the caulking in the corners. I've used these rubber ones before, and they're pretty good, so I'm going to show you how they work. You pick the different size width of caulking in the corner that you want. They also have a round one, and whichever one you pick, that's the width you're going to get. And at the same time, it's wiping both sides of the tile itself. So I find this works better than just wetting your finger and running it down the wall. When I do that, if you put too much caulking in there, you have a lot of cleanup on both sides to do. So I'm going to show you this method and see if you like it, see if it works better for you too. Yeah, I changed the camera to the long format so you can see more of the area that we're doing. So one of the keys is not to put a super large amount of caulking in the corner. Just put about what you think you're going to need. So Okay, so we got the flooring done. We're going to go in and we're going to go ahead and try the round tool first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wet the tool, and then we're just going to run it. You see, that gives me a pretty clean line, so every once in a while you have to wipe it. Once I wipe it, I'm going to wet it again. I'm going to go right back over this one. You see how clean it's leaving the walls. And every time you wipe it, go ahead and wet it. You can see I've done that pretty quickly with not much cleanup needed. I want to get this top line a little bit more even with the other one, so I'm going to go ahead and do it again. See, when I didn't wet it, you can see a little bit of caulking left on the tile itself. We'll just go again. And that worked pretty well. So that's about as quick of a grout line you're going to get without having a lot of cleanup. So I'll see if I can blow up into it. You can see it came out pretty clean. So I recommend these tools. They work pretty good. Again, probably one of the quickest and easiest ways of getting your grout line put in. Okay, this is the grout release formula from Aquamix. It was used to coat the surface of the marble tile. Yeah, the main reason for the product was to make it easier for the grout that was on the surface of the tile to be removed without causing any issues. This was an excellent product. It made cleanup of the tiles very easy. I used 2 coats of it on the marble tile before we did the grouting, and again the cleanup was very easy. It's a highly recommended product. Okay, these are the caulking products that was used on the shower job. The 2 on the left were used. The 2 on the right and the middle one are made by Custom Products. The main difference, they're both in bright white. The main difference in the 2 is this one is a non-sanded, which is used in stone tiles, and the other one is a sanded product, which is used in any other ceramic or porcelain tiles. The reason I showed both, to make sure you get the right one when you go, depending on the type of tile you're using. Again, the non-sanded is for the stone tiles like marble and travertine. The sanded grout is for the regular porcelain or regular tiles. When I went back to get another couple bottles of the product that I was using, the non-sanded product, they didn't have any at the store. So I ended up picking up this other product from Mappy. It's called Chalk U from Mappy. It also comes in a bright white. And if you have trouble finding this one, the bright white and this product match the same color. Didn't have any color difference that I could see. And this is also a non-sanded product to be used with stone. So again, those are the caulking products that were used. Okay, the grout I used is called Polyblend, made by Custom Products. It was an excellent product to use. You can see it's good for grout joints up to 1/8 of an inch. I was using 1/16 of an inch grout lines with the marble tiles. The grout worked very well, and it was an excellent product.